of entrepreneurship conjures up images of excitement, adventure, and a fair amount of risk. Some people say this is the best time in India to have a startup of your own, and many of you out there I know are closet entrepreneurs. But what does it take to be an entrepreneur in India? That's what we're looking at with a very special panel that now joins us today. Sari Chahal, founder Sheroes.in, is with us, as is Anurag Gupta, MD India SVG Media, Navneet Rai, co-founder Telexo.com, and also joining us Yashish Dahiya, CEO and co-founder at PolicyBazaar.com. Thanks all so much for taking our time to speak to us. Sari, to you first. You know, when I've been reading a profile of many of you and actually of entrepreneurs, they're described over and over again as serial entrepreneurs. That, you know, once they start, once they get bitten by the bug, then there's just no looking back. How true is that, or are we romanticizing it?
I think it's a personality type, and once you get in the habit of creating something, it's almost like taste of blood. Once you've done something, you want to do it over and over again.
Right.
And yes, there are other factors that sort of add to it. If we were talking 20 years ago, maybe we wouldn't have the same opportunities, the same kind of trends, the same kind of ecosystem. But today there is, and I think I did my first startup when the first .com boom happened, and I did go and work in the corporate space just to see what is that world like, do I fit in there, and I definitely very quickly realized that I'd rather be out and building a company or building a product.
Right. Now tell me one thing, when you say that it's like tasting blood, sort of does that work only if you have a big success at your feet? Or because, you know, a number of people I've spoken to have very honestly said, you know, for instance, that it didn't work, but that didn't stop me from embarking on something else.
Yes, so then that's very much true. It isn't only about success. In fact, I think success makes you slightly complacent because your risk-taking appetite goes down. But if you've tasted failure and you've seen some success and you see potential, then you're in it for the go. You are going to go for the kill, or at least it'll keep you going for a long time. And if you see potential, you see there is a possibility to fill in a gap that you've identified, then there's definitely no stopping you.
Right. Yashish is someone who's sort of into the insurance world, works so closely in the insurance space and all of that. There are of course no guarantees when you sort of start off on your own. So, you know, to all those who say that it's a huge risk, it's a gamble. It is at the end of the day, isn't it?
I wouldn't say so. When I look at myself and a lot of entrepreneurs, they are actually fairly risk averse. Risk just needs to be defined, and for me, the bigger fear is what if you did not do it? That is the bigger risk, because, you know, like, as far as I can see, the bigger risk is for me being in an office job and kind of spending the rest of my life that way, and or not changing the world the way I want to.
Right.
So not doing that is the bigger risk. The bigger risk is sitting in a ship which you don't know where it is headed.
Right.
And you're just one cog in the thing, and, you know, the ship may crash. You know, who knows?
Right. That's quite exemplary, I must say. You know, as someone who, I've always believed that about myself, that don't have an appetite for risk. I just find that exemplary. But we've got lots of people, you know, writing into us, Anurag, who also say things like, you know, I'd love to, but my parents say, you know, why do you want to take this risk? They're not risk averse, you know, as Yashi says, but, you know, they want me to go to the tried and tested. At the same time, we've got people saying, got a great idea, but, you know, I have to convince parents of other people or other youngsters to say, let them work with me. I mean, it's worth exploring this.
Today, you know, when we've seen, you know, entrepreneurs making, you know, success stories, and we have fairly large number of them in India happening, I think that stigma is reducing. So, so therefore, it still remains. However, it's not that, you know, it's gone away. So yes,
but there's less sort of friction, you're saying.
Yes, it's lesser, and I think it's decreasing by the day. You know, because of so many stories that come out, thanks to the media, thanks to, you know, the active investors, the investing
community. It's sort of more
community.
acceptable a thing now. It's okay. Okay.
It's getting there, yeah.
Navneet, what do you believe has been the biggest challenge sort of on your road so far, on your journey so far? What is the one time, because I know that there, even for the biggest sort of success stories behind, there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears, like there is with most things. So have you sort of personally come to the point of saying, I don't know that I can do it, I don't know what tomorrow will bring, and like coming close to sort of giving up? Does that happen, or is that again sort of seeing it through rose-tinted glasses or something?
Sure. So I think on this journey there are four set of things which you have to sort of juggle or sort of make an effort so that they fall in place. One is obviously the very idea on which you are giving your blood and sweat to. Second is, of course, the entire fundraising exercise,
Right.
which for an entrepreneur is always attached to a milestone. Correct? So it's not about the final milestone, that is profitability and a self-sustainable business, but then there are 4 or 5 phases, right, through which a small company needs to hit the more matured product, right? So that's the life cycle, and the finance is pretty much pegged to not the final one, but to the immediate next one, and you are on a runway with 18 months of life and 24 months of life. I do see that as a risk, because the milestones have to be relevant enough, right? And that's where an entrepreneur needs to have a knack that what or where he or she is leading the team to be, or mobilizing the resources is leading to eventually meaningful achievement of those milestones, so that same investor looks at it or more investors starts looking at it. Second is, of course, the risk is of building a team.
And that's a big point, isn't it? Because I mean, there are lots of people who say that getting that team together of like-minded people turns out to be a big challenge. You're agreeing with that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Why is that?
I think that ultimately it might be your idea. You're pretty much setting the tone for your business. You're setting the tone for the product market fit. But it's your team that carries it forward. It's your team that builds it out. It's your team that articulates it to the next set of people who come in. So you're setting the DNA of an organization in place, and that's pretty much, I think, the defining feature for a company. It's nothing but the team that carries it forward. For example, in our business, it definitely needs a huge alignment with the vision that we have.
Would you sort of agree, getting that team together, because I had someone tell me just a couple of days ago that it's not the idea, or it's not, many people have great ideas, it's not perhaps not even the business plan, but the team, that person seemed to think that the team was my biggest challenge.
I think, idea is one part of it, and I think I would give it about 5 to 10%.
That's it.
But the remaining 90-95% will eventually depend on execution.
Right.
And you cannot do it all alone. And I think the team has to be very special. They have to obviously not just believe in the vision and the leadership, but they themselves have to be very exceptional people who, because as times proceed, as you build out a business over the next 7-10 years, they will all get opportunities to do something else. Some of them will not evolve. Some of them, so all those challenges will come. And you need to find those exceptional values in those individuals rather than skill. I would never hire somebody for skill. I would usually hire them for those values, which over time will make sure that when the hard time comes, they do evolve. When the crazy opportunities run by, they just ignore them because they just know that this has to be done, and all these kind of visions, as you say, or whatever, as these illusions are there, but they're just passing. So, and they have to eventually believe in. So you have to build that rapport, that respect, where they are willing to follow you to the end of the world. Because if that is not there, then it's a tough environment out there, and it's going to take a long time. And they will be. You asked about ups and downs. I remember almost every week we would kind of think, okay, the company is finished, and the next week we would think, okay, we're on the top of the world. So those ups and downs are part of the initial journey.
I see. So like I said, there are no guarantees, and perhaps you take each day as it comes. I mean, is that until you sort of settle down?
You never settle down. So you never settle down.
Are there sort of like eventual goals that everyone has? That I will reach here, and then what? What will I do post? Or like, how does it sort of work? I'm going to get into the mind of a serial entrepreneur, Sairi, and sort of figure out how does it, do you already have your next venture sort of in the pipeline or the back of your head?
Yeah, so sometimes some of your disruption may not come from another venture.
Sure.
Sometimes, one mandate is big enough to pretty much take you through a lifetime if it will. So for example, when we started, we wanted to sort of figure out this whole category of how do you solve a problem. We found a problem, we wanted to solve it. We were not focusing on revenues or business or whatever. We took a shot at it and we figured something. And now we have goalposts which keep changing, right? So an immediate goalpost would be to put 1 million women in workforce in the next 3 years. The bigger goalpost would be to take it to 10 million in 5 years. The larger goalpost says, hey, 100 million women in 10 years, and we got to do it. And so there's prep for for today and there's prep for the 100 million.
Correct.
But every day will be a different day. So my first venture was a newspaper for mariners. It was a venture that became up and running in 3 years, and I had literally no work by end of third year, and I moved out because it didn't sort of excite me anymore because problem solving died. It became a job at the end of the day, and I moved out because I wanted to do more. But here where we are, I think we have a long way to go in terms of the kind of problems we want to solve.
Right.
If you look at Google or if you look at Facebook, they're still solving a different kind of problems,
Exactly.
aligned with the mission of connecting
Right.
the world or
Right.
making things better for internet users.
Right. So it never really ends. I mean, you sort of like are constantly working at it. I mean, to use a cliche, I mean, they always say that you know, the passion must never run out if you're an entrepreneur, because that's the end of that. Would you sort of agree, or?
The current times are more interesting because of the intersection between technology and consumer on one side, and technology and the way you serve the demand of the consumer, right? Be it from the supply chain side, be it from the internet marketing side, or be it in terms of the way you present the selection, price discovery and product discovery to your consumer. Now the rate at which you are able to discover those insights and the speed at which you are and you can, right, choose to act on those insights has gone up, right. So a lot of disruption is coming because of this unique positioning of this intersection between technology and the rest of the things around it, which you need to serve to your consumer, and the way you need to mobilize your own back-end operations. Hence, we are, as an entrepreneur, you know, one has to be always on toes. Disruption can come from extraneous variables, the competition, for example. A lot of it, by the way, comes internally, because our capacity to develop insights, right, is, I believe it's all-time high now. It's all-time high, yeah. It's
And
lot
what's
more
sort of
data
aiding
driven.
this great boom? I'm going to sort of get into more of what you believe needs to be done to sort of make this space more vibrant, what the government needs to do, what individuals need to do in just a bit. But what if there was one thing that you believe you could change for entrepreneurs today, the one thing, what would it be? I'll start by you, everyone else.
So a lot of things are already changing as we speak, right? The access to funds, right?
One thing that you could change.
One thing that I could change is I will incubate more entrepreneurs. I will personally mentor them and help them, you know, as many entrepreneurs as I possibly can.
Okay, sorry.
I would definitely want more women in the big game. Yeah. So I think the world's waiting for women to build unicorn companies, and that hasn't happened in a big way, right?
And the one thing you could change?
Would run lot of base camps, and will try to reach out to colleges actually,
I see. Catch them young.
nip in the bud actually, yes, while they are young.
I think you know, more people should just follow their mind and heart. So it's as simple as that. Whether they are working in a company or outside, they should just do more entrepreneurial stuff.
Right. Is that easier said than done? Well, that's the perfect one for me to take a break.
Okay.
I'll slip into a break, but we'll come back. Is it really easy to do it? There are, of course, enough examples of people who are making a big success out of it, not just making a difference to them, but to the community out there at large as well. We'll slip into a quick break. Back.